Hey everybody, welcome back to Stamping School. Last week we worked on these word letters and I showed you how to ink them up and all the mechanics of it. And this week I'm going to show some projects using this bundle right here. I don't have the stamp set, but I have this and I'll show you 3 projects that I made using that and some tips along the way out of the mini catalog from Stampin' Up. So I'll show you how to do the shaker card. And then this one, which is flat to mail, and this one. And we're gonna ink this. Can you see the texture on there? Yeah, so I'm gonna show you some fun inking techniques with this one. So just the folder and the dies come in one little package, and here's all the parts and pieces for the small ones. So this embossing folder and the die bundle, they come together all in one package. So you get the dies and the folder, so it cuts and embosses at the same time. And it comes with a bunch of these little itty bitties. So it comes with these designs, these little guys, some little leaves, a banner, these little hearts. And you can layer these together like this, or just use them independently. And this big guy, we can ink it or we can just emboss it and cut it. So it's pretty versatile. I'm gonna start with this one right here. We're gonna ink this up. Over on my YouTube channel, I got this great comment from Ellen, and she said she'd been having good success using the words from the other bundle, from the Thoughtful Moments dies, with foil. And it really, I like it. That's my favorite way to use it so far. Thank you, Ellen. I didn't even think about the foil. So another tip had come in about brayering them, the words after they're cut, and I did try that. I didn't show it last week, but I had already tried it. And part of the issue is even being very, very careful, if you ink them after you've already run them through, they still get little smudges. See? So you have to be just so delicate and so careful. My vote is still to ink up the folder, put your ink pad directly on here, and then run your paper and cut through for the words. Now, for this particular project though, I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little bit of a color difference. See the difference? Well, I don't know if it's gonna pick up on camera, but I'm gonna do it on coral so you can see it better. I used white ink and I really, really liked it. So the white ink is the craft ink, and it doesn't dry quickly. You do not want an ink that's going to dry fast. You want one that you can emboss or it's more wet. It used to be called the craft pads. We still sell them. They're just pigment white ink. And you can go direct on top like this, or in this particular case, the brayer worked pretty good. It gave a really nice coverage, much better than the regular ink. So if you want to clean 2 things, you can do the white ink. Now you want to make sure that these prongs that are used to set this down are not down and you mess up your pad, okay? I learned that the hard way. So make sure these little prongs are up, or just use the old brayer. If you have the old rubber brayers, they work fine. It doesn't matter. But in this particular case, this brayering with the white ink worked really well. And it's a little less messy. You can see the good coverage I got. When I used the dye-based ink, it bubbled up. It wasn't nice and clear, which is why I said use the pad directly. This is working good. Now, I will say you're probably going to use more ink using the brayer because you got all this on here. So if you want to just go direct to the pad, you can do that. Or direct with the pad. So if you want to just tap it in like this, that works fine too. To me, it's easier than the brayer, and you get good coverage. You also don't have to rush as much because this ink stays wet longer. Now I'm going to use a 6x6 piece of Calypso Coral, and I'm going to, nope. First you got to put these in. First you got to put the dies in. Now the dies are all hooked together, and you don't want to touch the ink if you can help it, and just kind of get it where it goes. It kind of goes into the grooves. Then you can put your cardstock on, close it, and then run it through the machine. And remember that I said with your machine, you're going to take off your die piece right there. You're going to use just your platform and this, and then your number 4. Or if you don't have that, it's that jewel tone blue one. And then run that through the machine. All right, you ready to see this? It's so pretty. Oh my gosh, I love it. So that white ink just makes it pop just a little bit. Now if you have a few spots that didn't come out well, I'll show you a little trick. Doesn't this one remind you of Brighton jewelry? I think I have a necklace like that. Anyway, so you get all these little hearts, and we're gonna use this for our shaker, so don't get rid of that. But if you have the watercolor pencils and you have white, you can just go in, especially once this is dry. It dries pretty quickly because it's on this porous cardstock. But if you have a few spots missing, use that white pencil and fill it in. It works great. Isn't it pretty? It's just like, I don't know, it's so soft. I really like it. And then the embossing folder itself has all these little hearts. And so they have a little white line around them also. So we're going to set these aside. We're going to use these. Now for the folder and the brayer, you take it to the sink. Take it to the sink and wash it off. You might need a little soap, but you shouldn't. You just, get all that cleaned off. This is going to stay wet for a long time, but I would rinse it off fairly quickly. Same with your brayer. Just take it to the sink. So this was my original card that I started with, but I thought I would make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to use these cards that come in the mini catalog. They're the Memories and More cards. They come in blue and coral in one package. And you get pretty envelopes too that match it. They're a little bit bigger. They're like 4.5 by 6.5 maybe, or 6 1/4. Still just one stamp to mail them. But this is coral. And I've got a coral piece of cardstock, and then a piece of this adoring paper. This is celebration paper. It's so pretty. I've used a ton of it. In fact, I think this is all I have left of it. It's great paper. It's a whole pack of 12 by 12, free with a $50 order right now to the end of February, or while supplies last. And it's all gold patterns on one side, and then it's all pinks and reds on the other side for Valentine's. So I just love the gold. So I'm going to use it a few times today. But this heart one, it just has this is all I have left. I've used so much of it. It's a whole 12 by 12 piece with hearts coming up from each side. So I just cut it down. And I'm going to get a little bit of pink coming up from the bottom using Petal Pink. This one I did Flirty Flamingo. This I'm going to do Petal Pink because I'm doing the coral. So we'll see how it looks. I'm just doing a little bit down at the bottom. I don't even know if you'll be able to see it with such a light color. Just taking my brush and kind of going up from the bottom, going lighter and lighter as it goes. Pretty sure you can't really see that on camera, but I can see it. It's there. Ooh, look at that little plaid back there. I hate to cover that up. It's so pretty. This goes on the coral, the layer, and then once we get the hearts on a string, then we'll put it on the card. So if you want them to have the strings with the holes through them, you want to put them all together. I'm going to choose one of each of these. So you're going to get quite a few. You get 3 of each, so you can string as many hearts as you like. I just like the odd numbers. Put them together. I've got all 3 stacked together here, and I'm going to poke a hole in the same place on all 3. I've got my little foam mat here. You can also just use a paper punch. Poke all 3. That way they're kind of all in the same place. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I think I like the paper punch a little bit better because this seemed to like tear my paper a little bit. I got some flamingo twine. This is part of that new twine that's in the mini also. Let me show you what they look like. Balmy blue, lemon lolly, and the flamingo. Okay, changed my mind. We're going to make a hole punch instead. much cleaner looking hole, but you can still put them together and make a little pinprick so that you can find your holes to use. These would kind of be cool to do terracotta tile also, kind of like a terracotta tile technique. Okay, so you can go in the front, round the back, and back out the front again so that the twine is behind it, and do that for all three. All right, they're all strung up, and you can choose where you want them. I sort of did them across the card like that, sort of let them hang, and then I added dimensionals on underneath once I had them where I wanted them. So that way you've got a little bit of time to move them around where it looks good, and then glue this around the back side before you glue this down to your card. And then you can add your sentiments and all your goodies that you want. I did tied on a little tail here, and then I just added a few stitch banners underneath my metallic "Love You" from that Thoughtful Moments. I like it. I do like the darker, I like the Flirty Flamingo, but I think I like the coral just a little bit better on this one right here. So this one would be a little bit bigger. This one is our normal A2 size. So you can see they're just a little bit longer. So I'll post the measurements for this one on the recipe sheets for you. Okay, card number 2. So this is the flat version of card number 2 here. So I took the Flirty Flamingo that I cut out from these pieces here, and I cut it down to 4x4. So I just went in, cut to create my frame, and then use that same adored paper, and that will go underneath it. Now, this one, I did the little small print. That looks like this one. And then I colored it in. This one, I'm using the larger print. I did just a soft sea foam in the dark sea foam for my leaves. This is the Flirty Flamingo. You can actually use the regular markers on this too, because the gold will help resist. And so all you have to do is wipe it off with a tissue. So if you want to get out your regular markers, you can do that. I know we're using our blends, the alcohol markers for everything, but this actually works pretty good. Just wipe off any extra that's sitting on top. You can also use your alcohol markers and just color in. If you go too dark of a color, you're going to cover up that gold because the alcohol markers will definitely cover over it. This is light enough. You can use the sorbet, and it's light enough it should be okay. And you can cheat. You can put this on top and only color in what you can see. So you don't have to do everything. Just the stuff that you're going to see. So this one is pretty easy. You just have to glue in between everything. You could easily make this a shaker card, like I'm going to show you next, and make it a small shaker. But this is really just the flat version. And this is just on a piece of thick white cardstock. Okay. And then we can finish it off. I added one of the little hearts that come in the dies. And the Love You I got from the Be set, the Be My Valentine. I just grabbed this one, but you look around, you probably have got something little that will fit in on the heart. This pretty little banner comes with these dies also. So in this case, I fussy cut some of the flowers out and stuck them on top to make it a little bit more dimensional. Or you can just keep it like this and then just add your banner down here and add a few sequins and you're good to go. A little twine on the side looks nice. That's a little easy one. And then there's this one. This one takes a little bit longer, but if you really love them, it's worth it. Maybe make one. Now, I did not want to make 9 panel shaker, so we're only going to make the 6. I'm going to put it in my paper cutter at 4 inches and cut up from here. So it's just about the right size to fit these. These are those Sweet Thoughts cards and envelopes, and look how pretty. They're really pretty envelopes and cards. I think there's 20, 10 of each color. So this is still just a 1 ounce stamp, but for a shaker, you're probably going to want to put this in a padded envelope because that is not going to make it through the mail. even hand stamping it, I wouldn't trust it. To hand deliver or, you know, put it in something. So this is just about right. I might take off just that little bit up there where the white ink, my crease is right there. Just gonna barely take that off. So this is the piece that was left over from when we ran it through for the other card. So what you're gonna need for the shaker is you're gonna need a piece of the white that can layer behind it like that. So this piece is 4x6 and your white piece is 4x6. So you can go just a teeny bit smaller, and these are 4x6. These are your 2 window sheets that you're gonna need to make the shaker cards. And if you've been with me for a while, you know that I always use 2 sheets, and I'll show you why it makes it so much easier. First thing we wanna do is line these up together, and we're gonna add these decorative pieces back here. So I wanna make sure it lines up. I pre-cut some of these in Petal Pink because Petal Pink and Coral look so good together. And I'm gonna put one up here, make sure these are lined up, and I'm gonna glue my parts and pieces on. I want one solid one here. This is gonna go under the shaker. And I'm doing one over here. I wanted to do all 4 of the dies and the other 2, but I felt like I really just wanted another heart, but then I ended up doing this one, so we don't even need to put this 3rd one there. So it makes it nice. You can run everything through, but this has to be centered there. Okay, now, in fact, I'm gonna tape that down a little bit just to make sure that doesn't go anywhere. Okay, and then these can go anywhere, wherever you like. They're all just sort of delicate. I'm leaving this one open. Add a little bit of glue. I could have done coral to make it stand out a little bit also, but I like the way the shaker looks. You can kind of see all the shaker stuff stands out a little bit more. And this one goes up here, and we're leaving this one blank. All right, that's step number 1. Now we're gonna work on the shaker part. I'm gonna turn this one over, and we need to add the first piece of the acetate. Just add here and there. You don't have to tack down every single area yet on this one. This is just the first part of the shaker. And we're gonna make sure that all of our fingerprints are off of that. All right, so there's this one piece of acetate on there so far. Now we need to add that little thickness in between there. These strips we sell in the annual catalog. They're foam strips, and they're about 9 inches long. And they're about the same height as a regular dimensional, but you're gonna come all the way down here and snip, save that, do another one. All the way down there. This is a little tight on this side. All the way down here. This is what's going to hold all the shakers in. All those little bits that we're putting in here. All the way down. And at this point, when I was making this card the first time, I said, I probably should have just done 4. But we go on because we love people. We're going to do it. This little one. And you just want to go right up to the next one. You don't want a lot of space for stuff to fall out. There, okay. And this works out to be just about right. Now, what you could do ideally is to go around and line each one. It's a lot of work too. This one you might have a little extra sequins in there, but it's a lot easier than trying to line it all the way around. And here. All right, now don't take all the paper off yet. Leave it covered until we're ready. Okay, now at this point, see how it's gonna line up? All right. Now the sequins. You know, on the clearance rack, we still have these, and they are hands down my favorite set of sequins ever, because they might be $6 now. I need to check. I'll put the link below, But they come, you get all three colors. You get pinks and greens and blues all in one box. And they're on clearance, and they were from the holiday catalog or something. They're fantastic. Get them before they're gone if you don't have them. But I'm putting pink in here in each one. Putting some pink, and it's got little gold sequins, and it's got little, there's a little green one that snuck in there. It's got little pearls, and I love them so much. You can also add any other little sequins that you want. And you can add little hearts. So if you cut out any hearts, like here's a coral one, you can put that in there. Here's the flamingo one. Any little gold hearts, if you have those, can go in there. Throw them in, why not? Just put any little thing that you want in there. If you think you have enough in there, which that one looks a little shy. Hold on. So if you like it and you're good, then you can start taking the paper off. And this is where that second window sheet's gonna come in. The hardest thing about shaker cards is once you get to this point, you either have to build it upside down and hope that it works, if you've done that before. It's sort of, you hold your breath and hope that it lines up, especially if you're doing things underneath. And then you take that second one, you look for fingerprints, and you put it right on the back of this one. Close it up. All your fingerprints off. You can use a used dryer sheet, not a new one, but a used one if you have it. That really helps a lot with getting the fingerprints off. And then, now you've got something you can work with two of the sheets. Look, now you can get it right where you want it. You can glue it in there, you can move them around, and it's perfect. So now we can add our glue. And I'm going to use liquid glue. And I'm going to go right on the acetate across this way, just so it doesn't show. Little tiny bit here. It'll take a minute to dry, but it's worth it because then you've got a little bit of wiggle room right there. And there it is. There's your shaker. Now let it dry. Now if you don't want to use this glue, use like the tear and tape or something nice and strong. But I like the wiggle room in it because you can kind of make sure. And it's nice too if the white piece is just slightly smaller, so you've got that extra little insurance that you can move things around. All right. So to finish off the card, I added the little gold banner right on top of that window, just to tie in a little bit more gold. And then one of the hearts that I cut from that same die set, and that little love you from the bee set, it just fits perfectly on there. And just glued those there, right on top of that window. The last thing I did was cut a few more dies of these little hearts, this one from the same set, and put them together, just glued two back to back on some twine, just to add a little extra something. Ooh, and that is it. Thank you for sticking with me for 3 whole projects. I really, really like this bundle. I really like the white ink on these. I hope you give it a try. We'll see you next time. See it, learn it, stamp it.